It's the Martin and Dean Chronicles. Ready for laughs and cheers? One's a geezer, one's a queer. Find out who on the Martin and Dean Chronicles. Tune in, don't delay. Martin and Dean will make your day. Chapter 6. Scratch Cards, Skip Wine and the Thunderclap. As Dean continued to look through the pictures in the photo album, Martin's shift at the co-op was a symphony of chaos. But today felt like a goddamn opera of doom. He had a splitting headache. Customers were acting like rabid animals, and as usual, his work wife Jo wasn't helping.
Oi, Joe, where are you?
Martin called, panic rising. He'd just realised that 50 scratch cards were missing from Gotta Scratch, and it wasn't like they were going to grow legs and walk out. Well, not unless Jo had given them a boost. He stomped into the back office, where he found her hunched over the staff table. Jo looked up with bloodshot eyes and a twitch that could rival a faulty toaster. The table was piled with discarded scratch cards, their silvery dust spread out like a miniature cocaine operation.
Joe, what are you doing?
Jo grinned maniacally.
It's scratch card dust, Martin. The key to the jackpot. I'm this close to cracking the bloody system.
She held up a card she'd half-scratched, her fingernail chipped to hell.
Joe, for Christ's sake, you've gone full lunatic. What are we supposed to do about the missing cards?
Relax, I'll sort it,
Jo said, her voice dripping with delusional confidence. Martin pointed at the stack of scratched cards.
This looks like a bloody crime scene. Mark will be up on my arse for not finishing the RDC cages. And now this. You're killing me.
Jo leaned in conspiratorially.
Martin, listen. I'll win big and we'll split it. 50-50.
You've got 3 kids, Joe. Don't you think they'd appreciate not seeing their mum on Watchdog?
4 kids, actually.
Jo corrected.
You've only got 3!
3 or 4, what's the difference? They only want.
Martin groaned.
You're an absolute cow. Pay for those cards now, or I'm going to have to report it to Mark.
Jo rolled her eyes.
Relax, Martin, I'll sort it. I've got a plan.
What plan?
Jo winked.
A side hustle.
What side hustle?
Don't worry, Martin.
Jo disappeared into the restroom, where she pulled out her phone. With the efficiency of someone who had definitely done this before, she started snapping saucy photos. Her uniform shirt was unbuttoned just enough to reveal a leopard print bra, her cleavage glistening with strategically placed scratch card dust. She moved to the bathroom mirror for a selfie, puckering her lips in what she thought was a seductive pout, but looked more like she'd swallowed a lemon. She lifted her skirt slightly, revealing fishnet tights and a suspiciously large ladder in them. For the piece de resistance, she posed with a scratch card between her teeth like some sort of deranged gambler's pin-up girl. She captioned it.
Feeling lucky? Subscribe for more exclusive content.
She sent out a mass text to her clients. Dean was one of them. Dean was sitting at home sipping some whiskey when his phone went off. The message came through. He opened it and immediately let out a cackle so loud it scared the neighbour's cat. The photo of Jo, covered in scratch card dust and holding a card like a golden ticket, popped up on his screen. Dean couldn't resist replying.
Jo, darling, seeing as I'm married to Martin, do I get some sort of loyalty discount? Maybe a buy one, get one free deal? Oh, and do you accept co-op points?
Jo replied almost instantly.
Exclusive content doesn't come cheap, love, but I'll give you a cheeky discount for being a regular.
Dean muttered to himself.
She's filthier than the 2 Chris's old shaggin' wagon.
Damn. That Jo is a naughty girl, pure sex, scratch and rock and roll. Jo returned to Martin shortly after, looking pretty filthy, we know why. Wink, wink.
It's sorted, Martin. Now let me get on with it. Gonna hit big soon.
Martin just shook his head. The shift then continues like normal, yet those 2 lazy bastards didn't touch another cage of RDC. Mark is going to be pissed. Martin said goodbye to Jo as they finished work. He then locked up the co-op, humming to himself as rain began to drizzle. Thunder rumbled ominously, and he quickened his pace toward the skip out back. A loud clatter froze him in his tracks.
What the bloody hell is that?
Clutching his keys like a makeshift knife, he crept toward the noise. Suddenly, Graham's head popped up from the skip, crowned with bin bags and what appeared to be a wig made of soggy noodles. Graham holding up a half-empty bottle of cloudy liquid. Evening, mate. Skip wine, vintage, medicinal.
Graham, you absolute maniac.
Martin pinching the bridge of his nose.
Graham, what the hell are you doing in there?
Graham waved the bottle like a trophy. Vagina medicine? Mate, gotta keep the old ticker going.
Do you mean angina, you drunken git?
That's the one.
Personal time?
He waggled his eyebrows suggestively, losing his balance and toppling back into the skip with a loud clang. He then got back up. You know, edging. Keeps the thrill alive. Found a filthy old magazine in here earlier. Vintage stuff. Black and white. Real classy. Martin recoiled.
Jesus Christ, Graham, you're in a skip. Have some dignity.
Dignity? What's that when you got 50s tits and skip wine? Living the dream, mate. Martin shook his head.
You're going to wake up with tetanus and regrets. Just don't fall asleep in there. The bin lorry's coming tomorrow, and I don't fancy identifying your remains.
Graham cheerfully said good night from inside the skip. Nighty-night. When Martin got home, dripping wet and thoroughly done with the day, he kicked off his shoes and called out,
I'm home, love. I hope you haven't been up to any more of your stupid pranks.
Dean was at the dining room table, still flipping through the photo album.
Oh, Martin, you're going to love this.
Dean smirking like the cat that ate the canary. Martin wandered over, eyeing the album warily.
What's that you've got there?
Dean slid a photo across the table.
Some classic 80s gold.
Martin squinted at the picture. It showed a teenage Martin sprawled on the ground, looking thoroughly defeated, with a leather-jacketed Dean standing over him, fists clenched.
You've got to be kidding me.
First time we met, I knocked you flat on your ass and beat the shit out of you.
And I've been obsessed with you ever since. Must have been all the touching, hands everywhere.
You absolute poof. You planned this, didn't you?
Don't be a silly sausage, you silly goose.
Martin brushing past Dean into the kitchen.
I'll make us some dinner. Bet you're hungry.
Dean stayed at the table, frowning at a strange metallic object sitting next to a plant pot. He picked it up and wandered into the kitchen.
Boy, Martin.
Dean holding up the object.
What the fuck is this thing?
Martin glanced over from the stove.
Oh, that. Harry gave it to me. Some charity shop tat he thought I'd like.
Dean turned it over in his hands.
Looks like a knockoff fidget spinner.
Before he could finish talking, a deafening boom rattled the house as lightning struck outside. The device in Dean's hand began sparking like a Poundland sparkler after the thunderclap.
Martin, why is this fucking thing sparking?
The device buzzed violently. Martin ran over.
Put it down now, Dean.
I can't. It stuck to me like a Jehovah's Witness at the door.
But it was too late. A blinding flash lit up the room, and the world spun like a drunken merry-go-round. When Martin and Dean finally stopped screaming, they realized they were no longer in their kitchen. They were in the middle of a bustling market square. The air smelled of fresh bread and horse manure. A wooden sign above them read, Wooton Annual Farmers Market, August 1939. Dean stared at the sign, then at Martin.
Oh, for Christ's fucking sake, we're in the fucking past somehow, but at least I'm no longer locked in that prison flat.
Martin scratched his head.
It was for your safety, my love. At least it's not medieval times. I don't fancy dying of dysentery.
Dean jabbed a finger at him.
Listen up, you poof. No prancing about, no sass, and definitely no embarrassing me. We need to blend in. It's a different time.
What do you mean, blend in?
Martin huffed.
I'm perfectly.
Just act fucking normal.
Dean snapped.
Now I'm off to nick some cash. Don't get arrested.
Before Martin could respond, Dean vanished into the crowd, already eyeing unsuspecting wallets. Martin wandered aimlessly, trying to act normal. He stopped at a vegetable stall run by a rosy-cheeked woman meticulously arranging cucumbers.
Good morning,
Martin said with a polite smile.
Lovely morning, isn't it? Care for a cucumber? They're fresh and rather large.
Martin picked one up, admiring its size. Without thinking,
Oh, this is nice, but I've had bigger.
the woman froze, her smile dropping.
What do you mean by had bigger?
She repeated icily.
Well, this isn't massive.
Martin innocently holding the cucumber aloft.
I've seen much bigger. You'd be surprised what I can handle.
The woman gasped, clutching her chest.
Oh, officer, I need an officer.
Meanwhile, Dean had just relieved a gentleman of his wallet, saying to himself,
Take from the rich git, then give to a geezer in need.
That's when he heard the commotion. He turned to see Martin surrounded by a small crowd, waving a cucumber like a lunatic while an officer marched toward him.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
The officer grabbed Martin by the arm.
Hello, what's going on here?
This man is making some awfully strange remarks. They sound dreadfully queer.
You're coming with me. We don't tolerate that type of behavior. Wait, I was just complimenting her produce.
Dean burst through the crowd, shoving the officer into a stack of crates.
Leg it, you poof.
The two bolted through the market, Dean dragging Martin along.
Right, first things first, shut your fucking mouth. Forever, ideally, I said act normal.
I was acting normal. She was talking about cucumbers, and I...
You don't tell someone in 1939 you've had bigger cucumbers in a sexual way, you fucking idiot, poof.
They ducked into an alley, panting. Dean pulled out the circular device.
We need a way out of this mess, back to our time, which means we need a bloody genius.
A genius. Oh, Dean, you flatter me.
I said genius, not idiot savant. I'm talking about Einstein.
Einstein? What, the Einstein?
No, Martin. Einstein from Wooten's Weekly Farmers Market. Yes, the Einstein.
Oh, brilliant. And where do you think he is? Knocking back cider with the locals?
No, you absolute poof. He's German, which means Germany is a bloody good place to start, doesn't it? So we will go to the airport in Croydon.
That's actually not the worst idea you've ever had.
Oh, thank you, Martin. Your approval means so much.
You're welcome, darling. So how are we getting to Croydon, then walking?
Dean spots a parked car.
Nope, driving.
Dean strides over to a rusted Ford Anglia. He pulls out a penknife and crouches by the ignition, Martin watching, amused.
You've got a real talent for crime, haven't you?
Talent? It's called survival. Now shut up and keep watch.
Martin doesn't stay quiet.
Dean, where the hell did you learn to hotwire a car?
Dean, without looking up.
Back in the day, me and Pinston used to nick cars and sell them for scrap at Baz's garage. Now stop gawping and get in.
The car sputters to life. Dean rummages through the glove compartment and pulls out 2 slightly tattered suits.
Here, put this on. We need to blend in.
Martin holding up the suit.
Oh, fabulous. Nothing screams subtle like 2 overdressed blokes in a 1930s shitbox.
Just shut up and get dressed.
Dean drives, chain-smoking, as Martin adjusts his tie in the cracked rearview mirror.
So, just to recap, the plan is to fly to Germany because Einstein happens to be German. That's the whole plan?
Yep, simple, effective, and doesn't involve you talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Strategic Genius. What if he's not in Germany?
Then we look somewhere else. But Germany's a damn sight better than Wooten, isn't it? Unless you think Einstein's hiding behind a stall selling turnips.
Fair point.
Dean spots a grimy pub by the side of the road and suddenly pulls over. Martin looking confused.
What are you doing?
Dean getting out of the car.
I need food and a pint. You've been talking non-stop, and I need something to stop me murdering you.
Oh, Dean, you'd miss me if I were gone.
Dean under his breath.
Not even a little. Right now, you bloody poof.
Dean sits at a rickety table with a pint and a plate of unidentifiable meat. Martin sips a pint, eyeing a swing band setting up in the corner.
Oh, look, a band. Dean, I could perform.
Dean glancing up, deadpan.
No.
It'd be like in the films. A big dramatic number to lift up our spirits for this mission we are on.
Dean leaning forward.
Martin, if you so much as hum, I will personally throw you out the window.
Martin looking mocked hurt.
You're no fun, Dean, gritting his teeth.
Fun? You think this is a holiday? We're stuck in 1939 on our way to try and find Einstein like he's a lost puppy and you want to sing?
Well, when you put it like that, yes.
Martin stands and strolls to the band. Dean groans, burying his face in his hands as the band starts up and Martin belts out a swing number.
Dean, 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 how do you like me? Dean, 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 how do you like me? You're always smiling, you my love. I'm your tall and sexy Martin. I'll take care of you all the time. Get you your tiger bread and fill your tum. Don't ever need to worry, Martin.
Don't ever need to worry, Martin
Is here for you, Dean. We both will be unstoppable. Dean, 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 do you want me?
Oh, for fuck's sake! So this concludes part 1. Tune in for part 2 to see what happens next. Well, that's if he gets around to fucking writing it, lazy bastard. Join us to continue the adventures by hitting subscribe. If you enjoyed our exploration, give us a like and share your thoughts in the comments below.